My name is Lauren, and this is my No Buy Year. I moved the camera over because I'm anticipating putting some stuff here. If I don't, I guess you just get to look at my Disney castle background. I tried to add some lights. I have no idea if you can even see it, but I swear it is Christmas time. Today is Friday, December 19th, 6 days until Christmas. And a few days, I'm not going to do the math right now, until the new year starts. A lot of people like to do big projects, set New Year's resolutions, obviously on New Year's. One thing that you might be considering is a no-buy. Should you be doing a no-buy? I don't know. What is a no-buy? Today's video is about a no-buy, or a low-buy, or a project pan, or underconsumption, or all of these different things, which are really ways that people try to tackle usually paying off debt, personal finance, saving money, and I think my neighbor is working right now. I really hope you can't hear her music. Hold on. I just hooked up the microphone here, so hopefully you can hear me and not my neighbor. Also, hopefully you can hear me and not the wind. It is very windy outside. North Carolina has decided that for the day today, it's going to be spring, but tonight it's going to be winter again. And it was winter yesterday. It's just that time of year and it's that state. So you might be considering a no-buy. Odds are the no-buy idea has frugality. It's a thing that's been around for eons, a long time at least. And especially online, it's been a thing. I'm going to say it's probably been a big thing for about the last, let's say, decade. Really, it started taking off around 2018, 2019, and every year it seems to be getting more and more popular. Minimalism was also another thing that was popular around that time. They all sort of converged at around the same time. What is a no-buy? If you know what all of these terms are, I'll put a timestamp so that you can skip it all and you can just go ahead and move forward to the recommendations, the things that have inspired me to even tackle this in the first place. So really, all of these topics, all of the ideas of curbing your shopping, getting your shopping addiction in order, project panning, they all tend to come or fit into two categories: no buy or low buy. They're both challenging in different ways. It just depends on how you approach it and what your goals are and what your personality type is. So we'll start with the first, basics. No buy. Both have hard boundaries. No buy tends to have the hardest boundaries that I've seen people set. They tend to have very set categories or items that they can do no shopping in. They may add in a replacement only project pan aspect, which I'll get to. But it's really about not spending money. Saving money, most people use it to pay off debt. A lot of people will use it to save up for kids' college, their 401k, going on a vacation. There are all of these different things and reasons why people do no-buys, and how they do them varies greatly. There's no one way to do a no-buy. There's no right way to do a no-buy. There's no wrong or right way to do a low buy, anything in the personal finance realm. That tends to be what a no buy is. A low buy is very similar in that you have hard boundaries and a budget. You may have a certain number of items that you want to stick to and not have more than that. You may have a certain amount of money that you allow yourself to spend either in total for a month or for a certain category over a certain amount of time that you stick to. The thing is that you can create the budget, you create the boundaries, and you stick to them. That rule applies for both no buy and low buy. There is more flexibility built into the idea of a low buy. As you'll see online, there's no set time limit either. You could do a no buy for a day. You could do a no buy for a year. You could do a low buy for a decade, a month, a quarter. There's no set limit and there's no right way to do these things, to take on these challenges, to challenge yourself, to get a handle on shopping and personal finance. It's all up to you. Other things to consider, you'll come across these online. I see them all the time. Project Pan, Underconsumption, Replacement Only. These are all ways that mean to use up what you have. That's what they mean. How you define use up is up to you. It could mean not a single speck of eyeshadow. You couldn't get one more drop of foundation if you tried. You have read every single book that's in your house that you have not read. You have worn everything. You have used a cup with a broken handle until the cup itself has shattered and it cannot be used again. Or as soon as the handle is broken, you can say that the cup is no longer usable to me, and so it's okay for me to replace it. These are all very personal, and it's up to you to decide. If you're someone who, and this is where the inspiration comes in, who, like me, really likes inspiration, there's something to be said for coming up with your own ideas. I'm a kind of person where I do really well if I talk things out with someone, if I see examples of how things are done. And then I get inspired and I start thinking about how can I use this? That really works for me. So here are some things and places and videos and channels for all of these categories that have really helped me. And you may want to check them out and might help you. 1, the no buy category. I have 3 main YouTube channels that have really helped me and have inspired me. And these are the ones that I go back to again and again, especially the first 2. The first one I've already mentioned on this channel several times, Louise Poston. In 2018, she did a no-buy year. Her categories were makeup, skin care, clothing, and homewares, I think, and plants. But I think she included plants in like the homeware category. She did her project for an entire year. She set very strict boundaries. She held to those boundaries. She did that because she felt that she was spending more money than she wanted. She was diving into credit card debt and was barely able to get by. The job that she had at the time, she had a personal business where she was making tango clothing. They were able to make it, but they didn't have a lot of money left over. And she didn't like feeling tight when it comes to the budget every month. And so she did it for a year. And at the end of the year, she was able to get herself out of her consumer debt. Cinzia Dubois. Online, she has 2 channels, 3 technically, but the one that you'll find these videos under, it's the Lady of the Library. She has changed the name of the channel a few times. So if you just search Cinzia Dubois No Buy, it'll pop up and it'll take you to the correct channel. She has gone by, back when this started, I think she was calling it the Personal Philosophy Project. She is a British YouTuber. She currently lives in Scotland and she's been there for a long time she's a British YouTuber. She lives in Scotland where she has been attempting to get her PhD. And I don't have the year written down, but she did a very strict no buy for 3 years in a row. She did that so that she could save up money and pay for her PhD, which she's done. She is the strictest. Hers is the absolute strictest. She was allowed to buy stuff for health, so like a gym membership, clothing. I don't think she was allowed to buy clothing. If she needed shoes for working out or something, I think she may have allowed that. Stuff for her pets. When it came to eating out, at one point she allowed herself 1 meal out a month. She didn't really drink much, so she allowed herself 1 coffee if she went out with friends, but she had to go out with friends and she would only allow herself to have 1 drink during that time. Like, she was very strict, but she stuck to it. And she saved up a lot of money. She was able to pay for her PhD. And she's working on getting her PhD. She's on pause right now, but she's going to go back to it, I believe, in the new year. Next year, 2026, I believe is when she's going to work on finishing her PhD. Hers is very strict. She has a video from 2 years ago. My no bite, she's doing it again. I don't remember what she called it. I'll try to link the exact video like somewhere if I can. If it's not up here on this, if it's not up here on the screen, it'll be down below. and for whatever reason, her voice, I love listening to her voice, and it's one that I'll often play if I want to go to sleep and I can't, along with a Winnie the Pooh book, but that's neither here nor there. So her, that video, she talks about doing another no-buy. She had stopped the no-buy, and she was allowing herself to go out and buy treats. If she went out, she would have a coffee, more than one. She was buying books again, and she has a lot of books. As a PhD student who loves classics and history and philosophy, she has a lot of books. So that was another one of her categories that she was trying to not buy any more of. And she sort of had a low buy when it came to books. She would get book tokens, which I think are basically coupons that would say you can exchange this token and get one book from a very specific store. So she's been doing that. And last year, she started a couples no-buy, where her and her partner, they have since moved in together, do a couples no-buy, and it even went over Christmas. Like, what are they going to do for Christmas? How are they going to have dates and stuff? So if you're interested in that kind of thing, which Hannah didn't really talk about, like she allowed herself to go out, events weren't limited. Cinzia, if she had to buy a ticket to even go to a museum, they wouldn't do it. Or if she and her partner, wanted to go out and have a date, it would have to be no more than 25 pounds. So they were very strict. So these are, as you can see already, really different ways to approach doing a no-buy. Hannah's did last a year. Cinzia's was a year, but she kept renewing it, so she did it for 3. I think she has since done a 4th year no-buy, maybe a 5th. She hasn't updated on that in a while, so I'm not sure if she's still doing the no-buy, but love her videos. Really do. Shawna Ripari is another one. And if you do a search, Shawna Ripari no-buy, this was in 2020. She did a year-long no-buy, and she was in school getting either a master's or a PhD. I'm not exactly sure what she was doing school for at the time. She has since graduated from school, and she's Canadian. And since 2020, she has done multiple other projects, year-long projects. She's been posting videos a ton recently, looking at TikTok, overconsumption, what's in my bag, restock videos. She does a lot of stuff on overconsumption now. Low-buy, some low-buy videos. So Hannah Louise Poston, in 2019, she transitioned from a no-buy year to my beauty budget. So for that year, she set a budget for the entire year, how much she was allowed to spend each month. I believe it was $200 a month. And that could cover replacements. So she ran out of toothpaste. It had to come from her beauty budget. If she wanted to buy a sweater and it cost more than $200, she'd have to roll it over into the next month. And only once she had enough money saved up would she be able to buy the sweater. Shawna in 2021 also did a low buy year. She was also calling it Project Pan. I'm not sure if that's the same thing or if she was considering them two separate things, but she had several items, mostly makeup and skincare items, I think, that she was using up in her Project Pan. And she was doing a low buy. She did allow herself to buy some new items. And if you look up Shawna Ripari, no buy, low buy, you'll get tons of videos. It's a project, both she and Hannah, even Hannah, over the years, will do a no buy summer or like a no buy July or like let's limit my shopping time. You'll see that this seems to be a thing that needs constant attention. Not obsessively so, but it does need attention. Now, as far as the low buy, no buy, that's it. There are tons more. Malama Life is another one. She does a lot of minimalism and simple living. Kala, I think, I don't remember how to say his name. I'll try to link it below. He also does a lot of simple living. He doesn't do no buys, low buys. It's more of a lifestyle, a way of living that doesn't involve spending as much money and doesn't involve yourself in consumerism nearly as much. So some other things, these are either going to be other channels, websites, books, things that helped me personally, either with personal finance or things that I listen to regularly, channels that I watch regularly. So Life and Numbers, that's another one. I'll link her either below or up here somewhere. She was laid off in 2025 in February. And so while she was already she's been working on personal finance, paying off some credit cards, I believe. And if you go back in her channel, you'll see that she's paid off cars, she bought a house, she's done a lot of things in the personal finance realm. She got laid off. And so she's had an emergency budget, and she's had an emergency fund, but she's barely had to touch it. And so if you're curious, or if you find yourself in the situation of being laid off, what do I do? I would really recommend the Life and Numbers channel. Don't Be a Lemon. That's one that I found, I believe she started in 2024, and she's very debt payoff, personal finance, anti-consumerism. That's really her thing. Especially, she had a lot of debt, and she was very open about it, into using her 401k and having to pay off those loans 3 times, I believe she said. She's since done it. She has gotten out of her debt completely. She just put in her resignation because she wants to do YouTube. She has just started incorporating in some sponsors. So like, I'm going to put a big caveat. I'm a little late in putting the caveat, but I'm going to put a caveat. If any of these channels tempt you, if they show you things and it makes you want to buy, and you're finding yourself not being able to resist, if you find the temptation to be too much, block them. Unsubscribe. Don't look them up. I don't think that's going to be such a big deal with Don't Be a Lemon, and with Life and Numbers especially. With Cinzia, definitely not going to be an issue. With Shawna and with Hannah, it could be. Especially with Hannah. I found that when I was watching her, for whatever reason, and that's something I may have to do some like thinking and journaling about, for whatever reason, I would watch her and she would shop her stash, and she would constantly talk about what makeup she was wearing and what she was liking and not liking. And I found myself buying stuff that she liked all the time. Even if I hoped that it would work for me and thought that it probably wouldn't, there were some things that I would buy. I would hunt them down, and I would find them, and I would buy them. And sometimes they'd work, sometimes they wouldn't. So I've been, like, I was a Patreon of Hannah's. I've stopped that. Lately, she's been doing, the past couple of years, she's been doing a lot more product reviews, testing new makeup, a lot of stuff like that. So I've had to really be careful with what videos from Hannah that I watch now. So don't feel bad. She'll even say, if this is triggering you to buy, don't watch. Come back and watch a different video. So make sure that you use that and you put that to use. Asia Dang. Asia Dang is someone that I've been watching for years, and she's recently shifted her channel. In the past, she had over $100,000 in student loans. And so she spent a lot of time. She was really frugal, and she took extra work on, and she found ways, and she paid off all of her student loan debt, all of her credit card debt. And you can go back and you can watch all of her videos are online. She did launch a personal finance planner, which I believe she still has the digital version of that. And if I can find that again, I'll link that down below. I have used her planner before, and I don't seem to have it with me, so I can't show you the planner. But Asia, now recently, she's giving more commentary on finances writ large, like, and on a bigger scale, on a societal scale, not just minute and focused on her finance and how to pay off debt. She said, I've got lots of videos. If you want to know how to pay off debt, if you want to know which method for debt payoff should you do, she has videos for that. And she's like, you can go back and you can look at my videos. I don't need to make those videos anymore. That information hasn't changed. She has new interests now. So I'm really excited to see. I've been liking the videos that she's been putting out. Personally, I have. So it may or may not fit your vibe, your political views, your views of life in the world in general. But I really like her videos, so feel free to go and check her channel out. The Financial Diet is very similar. Chelsea Fagan is like the star, if you want to call her the star of the Financial Diet. She does have a co-owner, I believe, of the Financial Diet. They wrote a book together, or a couple of books together, which I have read. Years back it was called, I believe, The Financial Diet. But she's had the channel, and since having the channel, she has been very open about the problems she had with debt, getting in trouble because of parking tickets. I don't think she went to jail for that, but she had some sort of a record around it at least. She just didn't know. She didn't know that there were parking tickets with fees and that you had to pay the fees. And if you don't pay the fees, you will get in trouble. She got in trouble and she found out. And she doesn't hide any of that. And so she has a podcast. She's got some books out. And her book, The Financial Diet, the first book, I think it has like a coral cover. That book is probably going to be better for people who are new to personal finance and don't really know much. When I read it, I already knew most, if not all, of the information that was in it. It was just a different perspective on the info. So there's nothing bad about the book. It just may or may not fit where you are in life at that time. Budget Bytes, BYTES. This is a website that I've been using off and on for years. They did have an app, and I don't think they have an app anymore, which I'm sad about. They have recipes that are low cost. And so if you go on, and I'm not exactly sure how they calculate the cost. They have a place on the website where you can see how they calculate it. I'm sure that it costs more now than it did before. I'm sure that a serving of chicken is not $1.50 anymore, for example. But their recipes are easy. They're not difficult. I hate cooking, and I can still follow a Budget Bite recipe. A couple nights ago, I decided to they have a creamy garlic chicken, and it's done in one pan, and I made that, and it's freaking delicious. I've been eating it for 2 days. I'm going to eat it again today. It's just so good. It's so good. So if you're looking on ways to cut back on your grocery spending, Budget Bites for sure. According to Nicole, that's another YouTube channel. She's also a Canadian creator. She owns a home. She talks about her financial journey. She doesn't have a problem with shopping. That's not her thing. She is I'm not going to say very frugal, but she's frugal. She's very close. She keeps very close tabs on her money. She only puts it where it's important, and she doesn't spend frivolously. So you'll see that she wears the same thing. She always has the same haircut. She doesn't wear makeup. She doesn't have the nicest, newest car. She doesn't have necessarily the nicest, newest laptop. Like, you'll see all of the stuff. And she goes into a lot of consumerism, things that drive people to shop, and ways that you can see through the veil and like see the game that they're playing and not engage in it. Oh, Money with Katie. The Money with Katie show is a podcast. She does have a YouTube channel, and she has recently bought the brand back. She sold it to Morning Brew, and after a few years of working with them, she bought it back. And technically, I'm telling you this now, I know, technically, the Morning with Katie show podcast is going to go on hiatus. How long is it going to take? Is she ever going to make a new video again? I'm not sure. She does have another podcast, Diabolical Lies. That, I believe, is going to continue. There are free episodes of that. She has a website. She recently wrote a book called Rich Girl Nation. So if you're interested in personal finance and wealth building, she has a wealth planner, which I want to take a look at. She has a video even on how to use the wealth planner for this year. And she recently made a video where she talks about updates to the wealth planner for 2026. So I'm going to take a look at that, and I'm really excited to read her book. I have really enjoyed her podcast. Her podcast in the early years was more about practical tips, budgeting, how much should you have at retirement, what is our retirement accounts, what's an Roth IRA, a traditional IRA, what's a SEP, all of these things. She explains all of those. So if you're curious and you want to know more, you can definitely get her book or listen to her podcast. Your Money or Your Life. This is a really good book. It's a really good book. It has 2 or 3 editions. It was updated. The original edition of the book, I believe, was written in the 90s. There are 2 authors, but the main one, the second author didn't really have much to do with the update. It's really by Vicki Robin. It's a book that challenges you to view your money as life hours. How many hours of your life do you have to give away in order to have XYZ dollars? And if you want to spend those dollars on a $20 lipstick, how many hours of your life do you have to work to trade off to get that lipstick? And is that lipstick worth it to you? It's a way to think about money that I had started thinking about in my head. Of course, that's redundant. Of course, you only think in your head. I don't know why I said that, but you know what I mean. It's a way of money that I hadn't really conceptualized. And when I read her book, the light bulb kind of went off. I'm like, oh, exactly. Yes. If I want to go to Disney, I want to save up this much money. How many hours of my life am I going to have to work to trade to get that? Is this sweater? Is this car? Is this subscription? Is it worth the time? It's a good book. It's a really good audiobook. It's pretty short. You could read it in a weekend, depending on how fast you read, whatever. You could read it over a week, a couple weeks, a weekend if you wanted. And it's really easy to understand. And I find myself going back to it and picking it up every once in a while and looking at certain chapters. And I really, that is a book that I will probably reread or re-listen to annually. This one's going to be a little controversial. Dave Ramsey. In the honor of being fully transparent, I don't love Dave Ramsey. I don't necessarily agree with his political views. I am an atheist. So a lot of the way he talks, the way he runs his business, the way he talks about managing money, he says it's based biblically. So take it or leave it. Dave Ramsey, his book Financial Peace, was the first book I read when I started thinking about and looking into personal finance. Financial Peace is written for people that have zero information, zero knowledge of personal finance, and it's written with simple language. It's meant to be understood by any and everyone, assuming that you can read. And if you can't, you can always listen. Dave Ramsey, back in the day, was working in real estate and had gotten himself bankrupt, I believe, twice before he said he was able to get his finances under control. And he's never been bankrupt since, and he's become a multimillionaire since. He's a white guy in America, and he had a lot of knowledge of money and things to begin with and whatever. He was bankrupt, and he managed to dig himself out of bankruptcy, and he's not been bankrupt since. So there is something to be gained from that and from him. His books are very simple, and I believe he coined the term snowball method. I could be wrong, but the snowball method, for the most part, is a method that I have been using when it comes to paying off my own debt. And reading his book, Financial Peace, listening to his podcast, I chopped up credit cards. I paid them off. I paid off personal loans. I paid off cars. I have paid off my debt a few times. And did it stop me from getting into debt? No. But I've been able to pay it off. So if you're looking for an easy to read book that goes over, most of personal finance, it's not necessarily a bad place to start. I can't say, and I'm not going to say that it's the be all end all. I'm not going to say that, unlike him, he would say it's my way or the highway. I don't agree with that. Credit cards and FICO scores and how the system works in the United States. I know it doesn't work necessarily that way overseas. And let's not even get into the insurance part, especially healthcare. Let's not even talk about the healthcare insurance in the United States and how not everybody can just pay cash for everything. So, again, I can't say that I necessarily recommend his podcast, but Asia Dang, who I mentioned earlier, did follow Dave, and she used his method, and she did go, I remember when she went on his podcast, and she did her debt-free screen. He has helped others. He can help you. Take what you need from him if you decide to give him a listen, and leave it. And then lastly, this is also a place where you should tread carefully. It's Reddit. Reddit is a wonderful, sometimes awful social media website where I tend to find, at least the channels and the stuff, that subreddits that I follow, it tends to be far more good than bad. It's not Twitter. There are, if you're not familiar, Reddit is just a social media platform. And then it's basically like chat. It's kind of like AOL chat from back in the day, if you're old enough to remember what chat rooms are, like I am. You'll have your subreddits, your chat rooms, and then there will be little individual chats going on in that. So Reddit has the Project Pan subreddit. They have the Makeup Rehab subreddit, Shopping Addiction, No Buy, and Fire. Now, fire doesn't mean flames. I am talking about personal finance here. So fire means financial independence, retire early. There are a lot of things on Reddit that can be helpful. There are some things on Reddit that cannot. The fire group, the frugal group they can take it to extremes. So again, take what you want, leave the rest. The Project Pan, some people are very adamant, like you cannot buy a new thing until it is completely used up. You cannot have a new shadow. If you drop your highlighter on the floor, you must repress it. You cannot just throw it away. You have to repress it. That's not me. That's not my personal philosophy. No one perfect way to Project Pan. There's no one perfect way to get over a shopping addiction, to do a no buy, to reach fire. These are just concepts, concepts of a plan. These are just concepts, and it's up to you to determine how you want to put them into action. So that is it. And yes, I am on the other side. Why? Because now I'm going to put my stuff here. In case you want to follow along, in case you want to get some inspiration, in case you want to decide I don't want to be like her at all and I need to know which videos to avoid. I'll have my little subscription thing down here by the mushroom. I'll have some, like a playlist up here. You can follow along if you want. I hope that you do. I really need some accountability. So if you decide to do a no buy, a Project Pan, a low buy, if you decide to do some sort of project down below, please, comment. If you have any other channels that you really like, if you know of any other channels that are doing no buys for 2026, I've already started mine. If you know anybody that might benefit, tag them, I'd really like to see what else everybody has. And if you've done one yourself, link yourself down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.